Huh. Well, that's a thing, huh? How about golf? Let's talk golf. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. Today we're ranking every single golf game on the NES. And why not? It's all fours up there. That means we're saying four. We're teeing off. Let's take a look. So you might be asking yourself, Jay, why are you talking about NES golf games? So, a couple of reasons. One, I was talking to my friend Marvin last week. I used to work with Marvin at EA, and I was just kind of reminiscing afterwards. Marvin's a hell of a guy, and we worked on a bunch of games together, primarily NASCAR, but I was thinking a lot about golf. I worked on Tiger Woods for a long time, and I really enjoy golf video games. And that got me to thinking, like, I think I've only played one golf game on the NES, and there's only 7, so let's rank them. And when I looked at my subscriber count and I saw it was all 4s, I thought, well, 4, that's golf. Let's do it. Let's rank the games. So we're starting off today with Bandai Golf Challenge Pebble Beach. What is arguably one of the least intuitive golf games I've ever played. Now, this is a recreation of the famous golf course, Pebble Beach, and you'd think that'd be pretty cool. And in truth, it kind of is. Like, the idea that we were able to get a digital version of Pebble Beach in an 8-bit generation is pretty awesome. That's really where the cool factor stops, though, because the game plays like absolute hot garbage, which is really a shame because the idea behind the game is pretty solid. Getting a real major golf course on an 8-bit game was ambitious, to say the least. The music in the game on the press start screen is fantastic, but when you get into game, the music is super somber, really repetitive, and is honestly kind of distracting. Like, you can't, like, lose yourself in the music at all. It's just kind of like, bam, bam, bam. It's really monotonous and really kind of annoying. Like, it's not a pleasing soundtrack at all. The sound effects in the game aren't great. The actual gameplay, it's just not fun. Like, this is not a great game. I wish this were better. Like, this, to me, feels like it could have been something really special if there was more to it and it was tuned a little bit better to play better. But unfortunately, that's just not the case. So Bandai Golf Challenge Pebble Beach, for me, it's not an F, but it is going to get a D. It's just not a fun game. So when it comes time to look at like OG releases on the NES, you got to go black box, you got to go all the way back to 85. And our first golf game released on the NES, this is Golf. Cleverly named, right? Now, Golf is, it's fine. It's the first sports game starring Mario. So that's kind of, worth noting. But the gameplay itself kind of sucks, if I'm being just a little bit blunt. The graphics are fine. It's a game from 1985, so I'm not expecting anything like Persona 4 or anything here. This is an 8-bit game, and it's decidedly an 8-bit game, but it does what it does pretty well. You have the course layout, you have your character on screen, you see where you're supposed to hit, you can aim, but it doesn't really do anything like set the clubs automatically. So sometimes you're just going to blast the ball way over the hole or right out of bounds or into a bunker and you don't intend to, and quality of life-wise, this is not a spectacular game. Gameplay-wise, it's okay. It's not a failure. It's not an awful game. I'm awful at it, as you guys can tell by the gameplay footage here, but it's not, strictly speaking, a terrible game. It's just not great. It's not a failure. It works. It's playable. It's just, it shows its age, if I'm being honest with you. Like, that's the biggest problem with it, is it shows its age, and there's games that come after it that make the game of golf significantly more enjoyable on the NES. So yeah, Golf gets a D. Now, before you all think this is just going to be a series of Fs and Ds and just terrible games, I would like to introduce you to what is one of the best sports games on an 8-bit console I have legit ever played. This is Golf Grand Slam. This was published by Atlas. Yes, the Persona guys. And this game is stupid fun. It is ridiculously intuitive. It tells you exactly where you need to go. It tells you exactly what you need to do. It warns you if you're doing things out of order. You're able to change the angle you strike the ball. You're able to change the grip on the club. You're able to change where you're going to hit the ball. So if you want to loft it, you're going to aim further down. If you want to punch it, you're going to aim further up. It's ridiculously well made. Graphically, it's fantastic. The music is spectacular. And it's super, super fun. This is seriously one of the best sports games I have played on an 8-bit console. I wish I knew about this game when I was younger because it is legit fun. I really, truly enjoy Golf Grand Slam and cannot recommend this one enough. If you have not played this one, give it a shot. I will tell you it's going to take a couple of holes to get the hang of things, but when you do, you're going to see the brilliance of this game and just have an absolute blast playing it. Golf Grand Slam gets an S. All right, so growing up, I was not a huge fan of professional golf. I mean, I was a child. Of course I wasn't. But my mom liked watching golf, and there was one personality, well, there's two. There was also Chichi Rodriguez, but I really enjoyed Greg Norman. I thought Greg Norman was super cool, and when I was going through this list and I saw that there was a Greg Norman golf game, and it released kind of late in the NES lifecycle in 1992, I gotta admit, I was kind of excited. I really expected this to kind of hit every single note and just be a really fun game. How could Greg Norman steer me wrong? Why would the shark do that to me? And I'll tell you why. Because this game is ass. This is so bad. Like, if you guys have watched my Konami ranking video, I said that the next game that we're going to talk about was the F-iest F that ever F'd. No. That game is sterling compared to this one. The gameplay is awful. The look is terrible. The sound is bad. There is a course builder, which is kind of cool, but it's just not a fun game. This one is just a complete and total miss for me. I do not like it. I will never play this one again. Greg Norman's golf power gets an F. Okay, and now we are going to the F-iest F that ever F'd. This is the most ridiculously named game on the NES. I legit think this is the longest name of a video game ever. This is Jack Nicklaus's greatest 18 holes of major championship golf. Just rolls right off the tongue, doesn't it? So easy, so simple. And this is such a waste of a Konami silver box. Like, this game is bad. It's not Greg Norman's golf power bad, but it's bad. The holes take forever to load in. Like, they draw in every single hole. It's not something that you just, like, tee off and then you're there. It takes, like, 5 seconds for the hole to draw in for you to be even able to move your character around and be able to play. Now, I will say the ambition behind this game is pretty high. Each hole in the game is from one of the major golf courses that were on the PGA Tour back in the early 90s. And they're each recreated fairly faithfully from what I can tell. I will admit that I didn't check too deeply on that, but we're just going to go with this and say that, you know what, I'm going to put my faith in Konami and say that they did that. The gameplay itself is okay. It's not super fun, but looking at it now, comparing it to other golf games, this is decidedly not the F-iest F that ever F'd. It is not nearly as bad as Greg Norman's golf power, but it does suck. This game is still pretty awful. It's going to get a D. And hey, shout out to Jack Nicklaus for being the only game that, you know, kind of made me eat my lunch and told me how bad I was. Like, I took forever completing a hole, and like the commentary at the end of it is Nicklaus just going, finally. Like, what is that? It's fantastic is what it is. That puts it up from an F right there. So despite the fact that the name of the game was legendary when I was younger, Lee Trevino's Fighting Golf
Grizzly Adams did have a beard.
Was not something I ever played. In fact, my entire exposure to this game was Lee Carvalho's putting challenge from The Simpsons.
Welcome to Lee Carvalho's putting challenge. I am Carvalho.
And I didn't really pay any attention to it ever. Like, I never realized this was actually developed by SNK. Didn't realize this was based on an arcade table. And I didn't realize it was going to be shockingly fun. Now, it's not a perfect game by any stretch of the imagination, but the gameplay itself is pretty arcadey. It's actually really fun. It moves pretty quick. There's a really fun feel to it that a lot of other golf games don't offer. It's a really neat game. Now, it's no Lee Carvalho's putting challenge, but it's really fun. All joking aside, Lee Carvalho's putting challenge is one of my favorite gags from The Simpsons, and this game here really surprised me. It's actually really well made. It looks really good, and it's a lot of fun to play. Lee Trevino's Fighting Golf, I'm going to give a B. It's not perfect, and it's not quite to an A rank, but it really surprised me with how good it was. Because of kind of preconceived notions about how absolutely idiotic the title is, and the fact that there's no actual fighting in the game despite the title, I'm going to say that this game gets a B. It's really fun, just not quite to an A level. All right, and last but not least, we have NES Open Tournament Golf, which corrects every mistake that Black Box Golf made. This game is really fun. It looks great. The music is good. The gameplay is really, really solid. It's multiplayer. You can play in different courses. There's a lot of gameplay options in here that just make this game excellent. And it's kind of a signature Nintendo game, right? Like, you take something that shouldn't probably be this fun, and they just kind of turn it on its head a little bit and make it a really exciting and really enjoyable title. I really like this one. It is a little bit difficult. Like, you have to work on your timing to get your shots right and get your putts right and stuff like that. And reading the greens can be a little bit tricky. It's not really as intuitive as something like on a 16-bit console was, or in modern-day golf games either, but it's still a really solidly done game. It's really fun. I don't want to say it's... No, it's not a perfect game. I'm not going to give it to an S rank. It's really hard for anything to supplant Golf Grand Slam for me right now just because of how enjoyable that game was. But NES Open Tournament Golf, I'm going to give an A to. Really solid game, super fun to play.
Welcome to Lee Carvello's Putting Challenge. I am Carvello. Now, choose a club.
There you have it, all 7 NES golf games ranked. This is what fun videos to celebrate the straight fours that we got today for subscribers. Thank you all so much for being here. Really appreciate it. Let me know in the comments down below if you agree or disagree with my rankings. There will be a link down below as well to Tier Maker where you can make your own rankings for every NES golf game. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the subscribe button down below, hit like, it helps with the engagement, and check out the video on screen right now where I rank every single basketball game on the Sega Genesis. Until next time, remember to play more games, stay square, and take care. I'll talk to you soon.